Let's talk about Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, who lost in the second round against the New York Knicks. They did not win a single game in this series. They got hit with the old-fashioned sweep 4-0. And we'll talk about this series more in depth later on in this video. But this is a clear sign for the 76ers ownership. You need to clean house in the front office. And you can no longer prioritize Joel Embiid as your superstar player and build a roster around him for the foreseeable future. It's the same song and dance every single year with the 76ers and Joel Embiid. When he's fully healthy, you can make the case that he's a top 5 player in the NBA. He's one of the most talented big men I've ever seen. But that's the problem. When he's fully healthy, he's constantly dealing with something every single year now. The last time the Philadelphia 76ers got to the Eastern Conference Finals was back in 2001. That was 25 years ago. We're now in 2026. It is crazy to think about the fact that they have never got to the Eastern Conference Finals with Joel Embiid and the amount of talent that they've had on the court with him and on the court without him. They've tried different head coaches. You had Brett Brown early on. You moved on from him. Then you bring in Doc Rivers. Now, to me, Doc Rivers is an overrated coach. He did win a championship with the Boston Celtics, but he's blown a lot of 3-1 leads. Everywhere he has been, it seems like he blows a 3-1 lead. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Can't take that from him. But I'm not going to come on here and make it seem like Doc Rivers was the best head coach in NBA history and Joel Embiid failed him and that coaching staff. It's the complete opposite. Now you bring in Nick Nurse. And Nick Nurse came here a few years ago. I don't think that Nick Nurse is a terrible head coach. I think that Nick Nurse is a quality head coach in the NBA. He won a championship with the Toronto Raptors right after they brought in Kawhi Leonard. And for extra context here, they went against the Golden State Warriors team. Kevin Durant did go down with a torn Achilles injury. Klay Thompson, he went down with the ACL injury. Regardless, he won an NBA championship as a head coach. And he's made a lot of nice adjustments over the last couple of years while being the head coach with the 76ers. So if you try different head coaches here, the different talent around Joel Embiid, it's been weird. It was the entire trust the process movement. They were tanking on purpose. They were losing a lot of basketball games, constantly ending up with top picks. The most notable name is Ben Simmons when they drafted him in the first round many years ago. Ben Simmons early on in his career, great defensive player, very good playmaker, would put a lot of pressure on the basket, but he never developed a jump shot. And ultimately, he did more harm than good long term with this team. He will never live down the fact against the Atlanta Hawks in that playoff series. All you had to do was just dunk the basketball, but he passed up the shot and he refused to shoot. They will leave him wide open. He'll just pass the basketball. He didn't even show effort to develop an offensive jump shot. So that failed. Markelle Fultz, another weird situation, dealing with a shoulder injury, forgot how to shoot, wasn't able to shoot. His situation with Ben Simmons is the complete opposite. At least he was trying to go out there and shoot. It just didn't work out because he had the shoulder injury. So that was a failure. You have Jimmy Butler mixed in with Tobias Harris. And I know the timeline is a bit warped here. I'm just going off the top of my head. But Jimmy Butler, phenomenal basketball player. This is where you get the infamous meme. They chose Tobias over me. Essentially, they did. Tobias Harris being a cone in the postseason with this team, giving them nothing offensively and giving them the bare minimum defensively. All of a sudden now with the Detroit Pistons, he's a top number 2 option in terms of scoring. It's just the luck of the 76ers. They have tried everything on the court from a personnel standpoint from different head coaches. You mixed in James Harden. In the regular season, that pick and roll damn near unstoppable. But you guys know this for a fact in the postseason. James Harden, he shuts down. And that's what happened with the 76ers. That was yet another failure of a situation with Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid dealt with his injuries once again. And now you sign Paul George. Paul George is 36 years old. 4-year contract, $212 million. Now, this is the second year of this contract. And the base numbers get higher every year with his contract. More than likely, this is the last big-time contract that Paul George is going to sign in the NBA. And he's robbed this team. Let's just be honest here. Because last year in the regular season, he rarely played. And when he did not look good offensively. He looked slower. The effort just wasn't there in the regular season. And the season was cut short because of injuries. The same with him and Joel Embiid. And you mix in his contract with the fact that Joel Embiid signed a contract extension in September 2024. 3 years, $192 million. That is insane to think about with Joel Embiid. This contract is going to run through the 2028-2029 season. And with Joel, I feel for him. I really do. This is one of those situations to where he's coasting. He got his money. He doesn't care. We have seen him try to play through injuries, but he does more harm than good long term with the roster, and the same with his body. The last time that we had a fully dominant Joel Embiid season in the regular season, he won league MVP. Those days are fully over, and he did win a gold medal with Team USA. But I don't believe that Joel Embiid will ever win a championship in his career, especially with the 76ers. Maybe he'll leave and he'll go elsewhere. But he cannot be the best player on your roster in terms of winning a championship because of the health concerns. He missed the first 2 years of his career from 2014 to 2016. He had a stress fracture in his right foot, wasn't able to play. He was able to stay healthy after that in 2015, 2017 to 2018. He had an orbital fracture near his left eye. Just bad luck. 2019, 2020, more of load management here. He had a finger injury, which is not a big deal. It's basketball. You're going to deal with some bang-up injuries here and there. That's fully okay. But he was dealing with a shoulder and a back injury. Wasn't able to go out there and fully play. That's fine. I don't deem that season as major concerns here. He's a big man at the end of the day. The game is physical. We have point guards, shooting guards. They deal with injuries also. So this one season right here, I'm not putting all that on Joel Embiid. It's just a bad situation. Just unlucky. What was a terrible sight to see was in 2020 to 2021. He tore a meniscus in his right knee. He missed time in the NBA playoffs. And whenever you deal with knee injuries, at any position in the NBA, that's a scary sight, especially for a big man who missed the first 2 years of his career with a stress fracture in his right foot. And we're talking about a center here who is dominant as hell on the offensive end. This is going to eventually take away his superpowers in the interior. The way that he's able to Euro step, get past other big men, bring the ball up the court. But he bounces back the next season. He suffered a concussion, 2021-2022 season. With that concussion, it was a right orbital bone fracture. Once again, bad luck for Joel Embiid. He had to wear a mask. And in the first round, he did suffer a torn ligament in his right thumb. That's not too much to worry about. You can recover from that very fast. It's not one of those situations like it's a back injury or it's a knee injury. But 2022-2023, this is where they should have wanted to go out there and test out the market for Joel Embiid and possibly move on from him before he suffered this injury. And I get it, it's hindsight. It's easy for me to say this now compared to then. He sprained his LCL in his right knee during the playoffs. He missed games in the first and the second round. This is a huge sample now. Going on 9+ years of him being banged up. Around this time, they should have shopped Joel Embiid around the NBA and say, hey, you know what? We have this player. We'll take some draft picks for him, especially multiple first-round picks if they're unprotected. We just can't build around this guy. But they doubled down. The 2023-2024 season, yet another knee injury to his left knee this time. His left meniscus, he needed to have surgery. And he played through Bell's palsy during that season. And the Bell's palsy situation is one of those things, you're a human being. You can't control that. You can't control injuries. It was just unfortunate what happened to Joel Embiid. He's going through hell on the court, but at least he's trying to play through it. I'll give him a lot of credit for that because we have a lot of players in the NBA. They get injured. You won't see them for long stretches of time. With Joel Embiid, he might get banged up. Give me a couple weeks. I'll go out there and I'll play. I'll try to play through it. So with that, he's a soldier for it. 2024-2025 season, to me, this is a nail in the coffin. He missed majority of the regular season. He had a left meniscus injury and he had to have surgery in January of 2025. He was also dealing with ankle and another knee injury. So both your knees are shot. Your ankles are constantly banged up. But the reason why I say this was a nail in the coffin he didn't play the same in the regular season. And he hasn't had the same stretches after this knee injury that he had before. Because eventually it's going to take your toll on you as a human being. And he's no longer in his early 20s. We're talking about someone now, early 30s, heading towards his mid 30s. You don't get healthier as you get older. In the 2025-2026 season, he had to have emergency surgery on his appendix right before the playoffs started. And he missed time against the New York Knicks in the second round dealing with a hip and an ankle injury. So with Joel Embiid, you just can't prioritize him anymore. I would say move on from Joel Embiid, but who the hell is going to trade for him? You're not going to get multiple first-round picks and star players for Joel Embiid because the age and the injury history. You missed out on that mark. So now it seems like you're stuck with him. And this is why I said early on in this video, you need to move off of everyone in the front office. Starting with Daryl Morey, he's no longer the general manager. He's not the president of football operations, but all of this has happened underneath his watch. Elton Brand is the general manager. I'll move on from both of them and start completely over in the front office. Your bench is terrible. It was a legit just 6-man rotation in round 1 against the Boston Celtics in that 7-game series. You had 3 young guards to begin the season. Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, who you drafted this year in the first round, and Jared McCain. And Jared McCain, very good basketball player. We saw some of this in his rookie season. He did miss the majority of the year dealing with an injury. But he's a very good basketball player. You can bring him off the bench. He can give you 15 to 20 points. He's crushing it right now with the OKC Thunder. You know what they traded him for? For basically to go out there and get out of the luxury tax. He was a cap casualty. That is insane. You traded him, a young, valuable piece, to the OKC Thunder for basically nothing. That is basketball malpractice. And he can legit be a star for the OKC Thunder when they had to go out there and retool that roster because of the salary cap here, because of the second apron. You traded away a young scorer that could be a starter, that could be a very good bench player for you, just because you wanted to save some extra money. That's just a terrible front office decision. And you tied it in with all the bad decisions that you've made over the last 3 to 4 years. Icing on the cake giving Paul George this crazy contract because you're trying to maximize the window with Joel Embiid. And when you went against the New York Knicks in the second round, you could tell early on the bench production with the Knicks and with the 76ers, it was night and day. They were getting crushed by the New York Knicks starters and their bench players. You're forcing Joel Embiid to go out there and play 35 minutes a game. 30 minutes bare minimum. He just had to have surgery on his appendix a few weeks ago. He was on the operating table, sliced open. When they went against the Boston Celtics in the first round, no Joel Embiid for the first couple of games there. It is Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Paul George. And that's pretty much it. And you had the occasional Kelly Oubre moments offensively. And Kelly Oubre did look good in that first round. Don't want to undersell him. Besides Quentin Grimes coming off the bench, no one else can give you production. Barlow isn't a good player. Andre Drummond in this stage of his career, let's just be honest, is Andre Drummond. He's 32 years old. I'm surprised that he's still in the NBA, but he's turned his game around. You just don't have the top bench compared to other teams in the NBA. You just don't have that depth to stick around. And that falls on the front office. That doesn't fall on Paul George. That doesn't fall on Joel Embiid. You can say that those players should have took a pay cut. Would you take a pay cut in that situation? You'll take your money in full. It's on the front office to work around and to find the best players available and to not trade one of their young assets for little to nothing and Jared McCain. But in the Boston Celtics series, the games that the Celtics won because they were up 3-1, they killed them on the perimeter from 3. They crushed them. When Joel Embiid comes back in, does look dominant offensively, but defensively you could tell something's not right here. He was slow on those rotations, so now it's wide open shots from the corner. When they put Joel Embiid in action, they put him from sideline to sideline, get him going in that direction. He can't keep up. with those guards. He cannot keep up with those wings. Joel Embiid 4 or 5 years ago, he could. But because of the injuries, he's slower defensively. Now he's a defensive liability. They draw him outside the paint, it's game over. You can now run to the paint if you have three-point shooters. That was the formula there for the Boston Celtics. They just lost their damn mind. They just kept shooting threes for the entire game. It wasn't connecting. So Joel Embiid stayed inside the paint. You played into their hand. And this was their championship. They won their championship in the first round against the Celtics. They came back from being down 3-1. It was their first time beating Boston since 1982. And the vibes are immaculate now. Now, maybe I'm foolish here, but in the second round, I thought that they could have at least won a game or two against the Knicks. I made that video a week ago saying do not sleep on Joel Embiid and the 76ers. Not to say that they will win a championship, but they can make this a tough series for the Knicks. It was easy. It was easy for New York. They outscored this team by 89 points in the entire series. In game 4, you lose this game, you go home. Going into halftime, it was 81-57. The 76ers allowed 19 threes going into half. That's tied for the most threes in the first half of an NBA playoff game in history. And part of it, Joel Embiid was being targeted constantly. You look at his final numbers in game 4, and you'll say that he was the only player that stepped up. And part of that is true. Offensively, he stepped up. Defensively, he was horrible. He just doesn't have it anymore. So you're expecting for Paul George to come in. We're not asking you to be the number 2 scoring option, to be the number 3 scoring option. Just be the number 4 guy. But defensively, we need your help with Kelly Oubre. We need you to play the same way that you played in round 1 against this team. In round 2 against the New York Knicks. All the great things that Paul George did against the Boston Celtics, getting into the pocket of Jaylen Brown, the same with Jason Tatum, hitting down the timely threes. He disappeared against the New York Knicks in big-time moments. And that's who Paul George is in the NBA playoffs, which makes his contract look even worse. He was supposed to come in and be this 3-and-D player. Wasn't that at all against the New York Knicks. In game 1, he had 17 points, 6 of 11, 4 of 6 from 3. 0 points in the fourth quarter in game 1. Game 2, 19 points, 7 of 18 from the field, 5 of 13 from 3. Looks very good. 0 points in the fourth quarter when they needed him the most. Game 3, he had 15 points in the first quarter. 6 of 18 on the day, 3 of 8 from 3, 15 points on the day. 0 points in the fourth quarter. Game 4, 7 points for PG, 3 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. 0 points in the fourth quarter because they benched everyone. That's who Paul George is. He would go out there, be on fire in the first half, maybe the first quarter. After that, he disappeared. And you can say about the age of Paul George, I don't care about the age here. I'm looking at the money because at the end of the day, it's a business. And they're not getting the return on their investment here from Paul George. But I'm not surprised. I am surprised by this. Tyrese Maxey, who was phenomenal in round 1 against the Boston Celtics, was terrible in round 2 against the New York Knicks. 13 points in game 1, 3 of 9 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. Game 2, 26 points, 9 of 23 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Game 3, 17 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. Now in game 3, he stopped being aggressive. He just stopped shooting on the offensive end. He deferred to VJ. He deferred to Paul George. And the same to Joel Embiid. And the defense of the Knicks, spectacular. Don't want to put anything past them. Don't want to say that they're a bad basketball team, but they're not. But Tyrese Maxey's a top scorer in the game. At the guard position, especially in the Eastern Conference. You can't step up to the next level against the New York Knicks at home. No, it didn't sound like it in game 3 and game 4 because the New York Knicks, once again, their fan base came straight to Philly and they dominated. It felt like a home game for the Knicks. And in game 4, Tyrese Maxey, 17 points, 6 of 7, 6 of 16 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. He's laughing on the sideline with Joel Embiid when they're getting crushed by 30 points. He's willing to do the jersey swap after the game. And I don't want to come on here and say that you have to be pissed off. You have to be mean. You have to just go out there and say, man, you know what? F you. We lost the game. I don't want to talk to anybody. You can have some humility towards it. You can be, hey, we lost this game, good game. But to be laughing on the sideline in the third quarter, your team's getting destroyed like this, It's not a good sight for a player that's supposed to be the face of your franchise for the next 5 to 10 years. At least with Paul George, he showed more effort on the bench. He was just shaking his head with the towel over his face. He was just upset. But it seems like the 76ers, they're content with wanting to build around Joel Embiid. It's just not the right way to do things. You should be building this team around your star guards here and VJ, and the same with Tyrese Maxey. VJ looked very good in the postseason. I know against the Knicks, they're not played the best, but once again, this is a rookie. For most teams, he's coming off the bench here. He's a starting player, and he stepped up to the moment against the Boston Celtics. They have a legitimate star in VJ if they play their cards right with him and Maxey in the backcourt. Unrealistically, you can't move off Joel Embiid unless you just want to take a dirt cheap offer. And the same with Paul George, you could possibly move on from him, tag a pick or two alongside him. At that point, you're hurting draft capital in the future. You need to get a better bench and get better players that can help you out. They try to bring in a backup center for Joel Embiid. It is what it is at this point. But to me, he will never win a championship while being with the 76ers. And I don't think the 76ers will ever win a championship as long as he's on this roster. I don't ever see Joel Embiid being a bench player for the Philadelphia 76ers. And like I said early on in this video, they tried different things. Different coaches, different players. Some players had a huge impact. Other players, not so much. But at least you have two guards you could possibly build around, and Tyrese Maxey and VJ. They should be untouchable. But I'm the owner with the 76ers. I'm cleaning house in the front office. I'm starting completely over with a brand new president of football operations and a brand new general manager with a different vision. But let me know in the comment section below, what should the Philadelphia 76ers do in the future? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want you to relax. One of you guys is safe. Stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.